Welcome, Manicons here for Paper Sweeties. Today we're going to create an empowerment card called Girl Boss. Let's go with the products I used to create this. The new sentiment stamps from Paper Sweeties called Gather, and this has a variety of sentiments. It has Gather, Family, Welcome, Repeat, Girl Boss, Relax, Thank You, and Rest. We're going to be using Girl Boss today, and I like this that these are nice and thick, about an inch tall or so. Again, we're going to be using Girl Boss. We're also going to be bringing in Madison, a Paper Sweetie doll here. And she comes with a die, but I'm not using that today. And we're going to also bring in from the Sweeties Boutique, the Sweetie Pie outfit. We'll be using the blouse and pants outfit here. Here's the die for Madison that you can use. I chose not to use it today, but I've used it in the past and I will use it in the future. Most of the Paper Sweetie dolls come with their own die. They're sold separately. We're going to be bringing in some Distress Oxide and Worn Lipstick. And here are our papers and elements for our card. Alright, so we have Madison here, which I stamped and colored and cut prior. So I'm just did some of this pre-work just to save us some time today, because I know this is part of a hop and I want you to get through the whole thing. I have some floral pattern paper here, some layering cardstock in a nice blue that coordinates beautifully with this floral, a heavyweight card base, 110-pound side folding card, and the same scrap of white and a scrap of the same layering blue, and that we'll use for our sentiment. I have some seam binding here in Robin Egg Blue, or a blue, yes, Robin Egg Blue, and we're going to use that just as a decorative touch. So let's jump into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and adhere Madison's outfit. And I colored it with some Copic colors, the Copic markers, and I'll have those colors listed below. I'm going to add some foam adhesive to the back of her so that we can pop her up on our card. I'm going to trim down some of the bigger pieces using some non-stick scissors. These are by Fiskars, but there's a bunch out there that you can use that would be great for cutting up your foam adhesive. Once we have Madison all foamed up, we're going to set her to the side so we can continue with our card. Next, we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment, because we are going to be using Distress Oxide and it takes a few minutes to dry. So I'm going to peel off the sentiment Girl Boss, and I'm going to try my best to center it. I'm using the lines on my grid here to keep it as centered as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. Since this is a solid stamp, I will stamp it at least 3 times to go ahead and have a nice, clean and crisp image or sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead and move my stamping platform out of the way so that we can trim down our sentiment. So I'm just going to block it off here in a minute once it's dry. First, I'm going to go ahead and start adhering our seam binding to our cards, actually pattern paper. Now, I don't have a source for this pattern paper. It was gifted to me by my sister. She gave me a bunch of paper, so I think it might be Echo Park, but don't hold me to that. I honestly do not know. I just know that it looks pretty. I love the colors in it. It's nice soft little florals. So off we went. And my seam binding matched nicely, so that's what I used. Alright, so I tied the seam binding in a little knot. I used some tear tape on the background just to hold my seam binding in place. Now I'm going to use some Barely Art glue to adhere this panel onto our layering cardstock. And I trimmed it so there's like 1/8 of an inch just showing of the blue. We don't want it to overpower, we just want it to accent. So now I removed the backing off of Madison. I'm going to have her stand right there by the seam binding, using that more of like a little ledge for her to stand on. And then I'm going to adhere this card front panel to our card base. Now the blue has been trimmed down about 1/8 of an inch, so we have that nice white layer showing. I'm going to go ahead and trim our sentiment down. I'm going to block it off. I thought at first about fishtailing it before it's stamped, and then I just went ahead with just blocking it off. Wanted to keep it more simple. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere it to the blue layer, and then I'm going to trim off the excess and I just use my fine tip scissors here just to get a little bit of edge off. I'm also going to use foam tabs to adhere to pop this sentiment up, so you have her and the sentiment popped up. It has nice dimension there, and the binding adds a little dimension and texture towards the bottom of the card. So I have my sentiment on. I'm going to pull in some glittered enamel dots, and then I'm going to bring in some enamel stars in pink. I put the glitter enamel dots are in blue and the pink stars here. Just add a nice little accent, keeping those colors there. And there, our card is complete. I'll have all the items I use in the description box below, just for reference. Again, we use the Madison, and her outfit is called Sweetie Pie, and a new stamp set called Gather. I hope you found some inspiration, and don't forget to hop along with the rest of the design team to get some more ideas.